Trillions move where receipts do not. Untaxed, unreported, mostly unseen. Why does so much real economic life prefer the shadows? And what does that choice do to growth, fairness, and power? Let's turn on a neutral light. 1. Big picture. Start with a simple definition. The shadow economy includes any activity that avoids full reporting and regulation. Legal work done off the books. Illegal trade that hides by design. And gray zones that sit awkwardly in between. Every country has one. The United States, Europe. Emerging markets simply show more of it as a share of GDP, but the pattern is universal. Directionally, economists place its size around 10% to 30% of GDP in many nations, broad IMF and World Bank ranges. Why doesn't it disappear? Because rules create costs. Because people want flexibility. Because not everyone has access to formal banking or work permits. Because cash is simple. And because enforcement is never perfect. Think of the shadow economy as pressure in a system. When the formal pipes clog, water finds another route. When the official path is too expensive or too slow, people cut a bypass. That bypass isn't just crime. It is survival, speed, and small-scale entrepreneurship. 2. Why people use hidden cash. Taxes shape behavior. Avoiding them is one motive. For thin-margin micro-businesses, income taxes and sales taxes can push profits into loss. Skipping the report keeps the doors open. Compliance costs matter. Licenses, audits, payroll filings, annual fees, each a friction point. For a one-person shop, the paperwork can exceed the profit. Informality removes the paperwork, and with it, formal protections. Regulation overload can drive activity off the grid. Food safety rules, labor classification, construction codes, well-intentioned, but complex. When the maze gets too high, some step around it. Institutional trust matters too. If people believe public services are weak or corruption is high, they're less willing to pay. They keep cash where they can see it. They avoid leaving data trails. Cash communities form naturally. Tips. Home repairs quoted, with VAT, and without. Tutors, hairdressers, drivers offering discounts for cash. Parents paying babysitters. Farmers markets running on small bills. All ordinary life, just with fewer receipts. Immigrant labor adds another layer. People without formal work authorization still need income. Firms still need labor. Off-the-books arrangements bridge the gap, beneficial in the short term, risky for the worker. 3. How hidden money actually moves. Mechanics are simple. Cash-only ecosystems set the rule at the door. No cards. No invoices. Pricing reflects speed and discretion. The customer pays less, the seller keeps more. Underground payrolls split wages. A legal portion on the payslip, and a top-up in an envelope. Off-the-books businesses rotate names and owners, rent cheap spaces, keep inventory light, and accept cash or peer-to-peer transfers labeled as gifts. Informal credit networks fill the gaps. Shopkeepers extend inventory. Neighborhood lenders offer cash at a fee. Communities run rotating savings pools. Trust substitutes for collateral. Cross-border, value moves through parallel remittance systems. Hawala-type networks rely on brokers, not bank wires. A sender pays locally, a relative is paid abroad. Balances settle later through trade, netting, or cash swaps. Fast, relationship-based, and built for places where formal rails are slow or costly. Value storage follows similar logic. Cash under mattresses. Gold and jewelry as portable savings. Prepaid or gift cards holding small balances. Foreign currency notes as inflation shields. 4. The business behind the shadows. Hidden cash persists because it solves real constraints, no bank approvals. No interchange fees. Instant settlement, small firms run simple math. If formal rules push margins below zero, they either go informal or shut down. Informality keeps prices low, but also prevents growth, borrowing, and long-term investment. Cash jobs help households absorb shocks. Lost hours in formal work get replaced by weekend shifts. Small buffers build. Stress falls. Risk rises. Intermediaries profit by smoothing flows, matching workers, moving cash, advancing loans. They operate where formal systems are too slow or too strict. Their edge is knowledge. Who to trust, where to go, when to move. Shadow logistics fills gaps in real cities. Street vendors serve districts zoning forgot. Informal transport fills service deserts. Unlicensed contractors fix things quickly in old buildings. Not endorsement, just economics. Where formal supply falls short, informal supply appears. 5. Governments versus shadow money. On the macro level, the costs scale quickly. Tax agencies lose revenue. Globally, gaps add up to trillions across underreported income, VAT leakage, and unpaid contributions. Lower revenue means weaker public services or heavier burdens on compliant taxpayers. Monetary policy becomes harder. Invisible transactions distort spending and wage data. Policymakers steer the ship with fogged windows. Workers lose protections. No contracts, no insurance, no overtime rules, no leave. In a crisis, they are first to lose their income and last to receive support. Anti-money laundering rules tighten. Systems must detect illicit flows while keeping friction low for normal users, an impossible balance. Too much friction drives more people to cash. Too little invites abuse. Policies push digital rails. Limits on large cash payments. Real-time bank-to-bank transfers. Subsidized card terminals. Invoice systems tied to tax tools. These shrink some shadows, but digital shadows emerge, informal peer-to-peer sales. Multiple small accounts. Social media marketplaces acting like quiet bazaars. 6. What happens in a cashless future? Shadows shrink in some areas but never vanish. They mutate. Physical cash gives way to digital loopholes. P2P transfers labeled as gifts. Prepaid accounts across apps. Gift cards as mini wallets. Crypto rails for cross-border storage or settlement. Enforcement becomes easier on the surface, but more complex at the edges. 7. Directional data points. Keep a few broad anchors in mind. 1. Shadow economy size commonly around 10% to 30% of GDP. 2. Cash usage declining in advanced economies since 2020. 3. Tax gaps total trillions globally. 4. Digital payments in large emerging markets grow in double digits annually. 5. Informal labor involves hundreds of millions globally. These aren't precise, they're directional and sufficient. The shadow economy is not a crime thriller. It is a pressure map of incentives, trust, and access. When formal systems are narrow, slow, or costly, activity leaks into the gaps. Shrink the gaps with better design, simpler taxes, faster permits, cheaper rails, and shadows recede without a war. The forward question is simple. Can we build systems flexible enough for real life, fair enough for taxpayers, and open enough for small entrepreneurs to step into the light? Stay curious, stay sharp.